And a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday night. It's Radical Race Series UK and Ireland action. Live and direct from the virtual recreation of the famed Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Interlagos in the suburbs of Sao Paulo, Brazil. And you join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, back in the saddle here on a Thursday night. And I'm pleased to have alongside me Jim Cunningham in the booth. But more to the point, this particular circuit named after a man who competed for many a year in Formula One. This 4.22 kilometre circuit was established back in May of 1940, so has been in use for pretty much 85 years. It celebrated its 85th anniversary of May the 12th just this year. 15 turns, 762 metres above sea level, and 15 iconically named turns. Now, of course, there is a maximum possibility of one driver. They win both respective races tonight. We've got qualifying underway. We're about coming up to 2 minutes to go on that. We've got a 10-lap sprint, and then we've got a top 10 inverted 16-lap feature. The maximum score over the two races that any one driver can secure is 65 points. 25 for a win in the sprint, 40 for the feature. Well, let's welcome Jim into the booth. Jim, a pleasure to be alongside you. This circuit really needs no introduction.
It doesn't, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. And it was, I enjoyed. We got to chat a little bit before the broadcast started. That's always fun. Yeah, this is definitely one of the most iconic circuits in the world. At least that's the way I view it. I get thrilled every time I get to do a race here, whether it's broadcast, race. I just love this circuit, as I think everybody does. And, it's famous in so many ways. It's related to Ayrton Senna. But like you said, this track has a whole lot more history than that.
Yeah, and we're effectively in week 11. There's still a bit of a tee up whether we are going to have Road Atlantic, which was due to take place on week 6 back on April 24th. So we will know whether this is or isn't going to be the Season 2 2025 finale. Simon Edwards, the man who really is getting closer and closer to double digits as a Radical Race Series champion, is leading the way here in time qualifying. 1:28.320. Paul LeMay, who is very close with him. Luke Crowther also. It's been a three-way scrap between them all season long as we come towards the final 30 seconds of qualifying. Simon Edwards pulls over to the left at Reto Posto after the Curva de Sol at turn 4. Paul LeMay, 6/100ths behind. 1:28.379. Seth Brown in the highlighter green and purple, doing a great job. He's put at P3. And there is Mr. Positivity that we just had a quick glimpse of just a second ago. Mr. Phil Glover as Seth Brown pulls to the inside of turn 1. Diez do Senna, of course, Ayrton Senna, finally picked up a victory while stuck in 6th gear in his McLaren Honda and managed to power his way to victory. But the grid is now set for our 10-lap sprint. And here is your starting grid. Simon Edwards on pole position. Alongside him will be Paul LeMay, Seth Brown, and good to have Michael LeMay back. The two brothers racing duo reunited on circuit as Michael rounds out row number 2. Mike Bousson and Jamie Bird on row 3. Phil Glover, Mr. Positivity, will be joined by Dom Charles on row 4 with Darren Reynolds and Marcus Neal, rounding out the 10 strong competitors. And up until this point, we've been to the Nürburgring, Road America, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Suzuka, Mugello, Phillip Island, Alton Park, Montreal, VIR, and last time out, Mount Panorama. More to the point, everyone is starting to ready up. 5 sectors around this just around about 4.309 kilometre circuit, and it is going to be a standing start. And more to the point, folks, we are just seconds away from waiting for our last 2 competitors to ready up on the grid, and they are all assembled here at Interlagos as the 5 red lights here for week number 12, or 11 if you want to call it that, start to ignite. It's 5 red lights are on, 5 red lights are out. The Radical Race Series gets going here at Interlagos as Paul LeMay tries to keep Seth Brown at bay. Simon Edwards takes the lead going into Estor Senna here at turn number 1. Seth Brown and Mike Bousson. Bousson got a great start, managed to get past Michael LeMay. In the meantime, he's been dropped a bit like a bad habit. But that's exit stage right there by Mike Bousson coming out of Cover de Sol at turn number 3. Down the Retta Posta for the first time. And Paul LeMay keeps ahead, sweeps over and cuts the nose off of Seth Brown into Descida del Lago, up through turn 4, up through turn 5. Now the incline, up the hill, in towards double right at Ferradura and La Regina at turn 6 and 7. Then into turn 8, you've got to be hard on the brakes, turn the car in, rotate it, get on the power through S8, then Pinarino here at turn number 9, a bit of a descent, and then up the hill again, up to the Duck's Beak, Beacon of Pato here at turn 10. And it's again another descent through into Mangulo, and then Zhongshao here at turn number 12. Then it's up through 13, 14, Subidido's boxes, and then Arquibacandas, the bleachers at turn number 15, where they're going to edge ever so close to the wall as the opening lap is completed. Simon Edwards getting away a bit like a scalded cat on a hot tin roof here at the moment, Jim, as he leads after the opening lap. But Seth Brown closing in on Paul LeMay heading into turn 1 here on lap 2.
Yeah, I have to say, this is listening to you call a lap around here is makes this place all the more fun. That was like poetry for a lap there. I got caught up in your call there and wasn't even paying attention to what I was supposed to be doing. Great job. But yeah, this is they got off clean. That's nice. It's not that you expect any different from these guys. For the most part, they're all pretty clean racers. But yeah, they Simon is doing Simon Edwards sort of things already. But Paul's giving him a good run.
Yeah, I think also Jamie Bird in the meantime has got past on Michael LeMay, who's dropped 2 spots at the moment. Started on the outside of road number 2. I mean, I did see in the back of the shot Jamie Bird go side by side with Michael LeMay down the Retta Posta, which is the short back straight down between turn 3 at Cover de Sol and turn 4 at the opening part of Descida del Lago, as it is going to be rather close between the pair of them. Marcus Neal is flickering like a good one, but here is the replay from the Helicam.
I accidentally put it on slow motion. We'll go full speed here. Oh yeah, he just drove it right down on the inside of him there. That's a beautiful pass. Textbook. Didn't seem like Michael tried to block him off too much there. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, Michael hasn't featured in many of the races this season here for season 2. But what you've got wondering here is that Paul LeMay is battling away with Seth Brown and Simon Edwards. Michael LeMay battling away with Jamie Bird as they reinitiate their battle for what is 5th position. It's coming out of turn 3. You can see the speed and the revs increasing on the SR10 Radical of Paul LeMay. Turns it right deep into that apex here at turn number 4, up through 5. And then it's up the hill we go again. Gap between them is about 2 and a bit tenths of a second. And the thing is that with this circuit here, you've got to be very, very careful how you apply the power through Zhongshao at turn number 12 here, Jim. Mainly because of the fact you don't want that back axle over-rotating the tyres.
Yeah, the undulation changes here, with elevation changes in the track, are deceptive here. I think they're subtle enough that they're not extremely obvious to viewers on TV, except for in some spots like here. But one of the things that some of these corners have camber that falls away from you, and that's you'll get into the corner, and as you brake, the track kind of falls away from you, and it will have a tendency to let the rear end kick out on you. This is a track that a lot of people say has everything. It has all types of turns that affect the car differently. Like that downhill little S is through there. A fantastic turn. Yeah, it's just this circuit is so good. So good.
Yeah, and Mike Bousson battling away with Seth Brown in the background, but the old Nigel Mansell dummy comes out to play courtesy of Paul LeMay. He's really giving Simon Edwards a bit of a fright as, oh, poor old Phil Glover, Mr. Positivity, the number 7 in the Castrol liveried Radical, has ended up off circuit somewhere, and that is a real shame for Phil, so he will have ended up in pit road. But this battle here is going on tooth and nail. LeMay versus Edwards. It's ding-ding round whatever you want to call it, because they've been battling so much all season too.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you know, these guys, they race in several of these Radical series. We were talking about that also before the broadcast. You know, they know each other, you know, so well, because they race each other all the time. And Paul is giving him fits right now, you know. Sometimes Paul has some struggles with, he has some arm issues, I think, that's related to a previous neck injury or something. And, you know, so look at this move.
Oh, Paul LeMay round the outside. Is he going to make it worth it? Front pedals. Oh, Paul, he got the overspeed.
Yeah, well, he came up there and he gave Simon a little bump and was letting him know that I'm gonna come on by here. And I think Simon slid back over there and gave him a little bump and said that he wasn't quite ready to give that position up. I hate to cut away from this real quick, but I see that Michael LeMay had an incident. Let's look what happened there.
So this is coming down into Esther Senna at turn 1. He tagged the back of Jamie Bird.
He did tag the back of Jamie Bird. Wow. Okay. Well, since we're here, let's look and see what happened to Phil Glover, everyone's favorite driver. Look after the fact, huh?
So that is probably going to be a big he turned around. I think that might have been Marcus Neal.
Yeah, it was Marcus Neal.
There, so,
which I'm not familiar with Marcus Neal. I've done several of these races, but I don't know him.
Marcus is quite a new addition to the SR10 brigade here at Radical Race Series. So even he's on a steep learning curve. We ride on board with Paul LeMay.
I tell you what, that's a steep learning curve with these guys. There's some good drivers out here.
Oh yeah, definitely. But the good thing is we're seeing the seesaw battle between Simon Edwards. We're on lap 6 out of 10, so 5 to go, including this one. Very different line taken out of Cover de Sol by Paul LeMay. Simon Edwards doing everything he can. Seth Brown and Mike Bousson now have a fast closing Jamie Bird, who's going to make it a 3-horse race for 3rd position. Seth Brown at the moment has been able to keep the 666 Team Radline driver at bay. Jamie Bird with his usual James Hunt stroke Club 100 Evo tribute livery on that Radical SR10. It's quite distinct, but it's a nice livery. It's not too in your face. I mean, the thing is, you can see Seth Brown. If Google Maps looks at the Radical Race Series from above, from one of their satellites, you can definitely make out Seth Brown at Interlagos right now with that high-vis highlighter job on that car. But the thing is that everyone has their own different personality. It's a bit like racing helmets in real life, that everyone has their unique identity.
Yeah, allows them very true.
Express themselves, if you will, Jim.
I love that. To be honest with you, it's one of my favorite parts about sim racing, and I typically don't like to race on sims that don't allow you to express yourself with the livery. As Bousson here makes a nice move up the inside on Seth, just took that right away from him.
Yeah, it's like stealing candy from a baby in the sweet shop, and Mike Bousson just got that job done. But now he's going to become the hunted, because Seth Brown is charging at him like a Brahma bull in the china shop, as they are going to go into the Interlagos. You saw a glimpse of the left front splitter corner of Seth Brown. They're going through turn 4. Bousson covers it off nicely. Bird now thinks there's an opportunity. There's something in the offing here. Interperatura here at turn 6. Brown shuts the door on Bird through La Regina. Now into turn 8 at SA. Again, Bousson just hitting his marks, not putting a foot wrong here, and just taking it nice and calm. And the good thing is that now he's backing in some respects, Seth Brown back into the path of Jamie Bird, who's got nothing to lose but everything to gain in this race.
Right. Well, that's absolutely true. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that's a racing technique. You know, you purposely slow up and put your competitor that's behind you pushing you hard into the grasp of another competitor, and then you can kind of separate yourself as they begin to fight for that position, which is, you know, obviously happens a lot in Formula One, and most notably, you know, in Monaco a couple of weeks ago, that was a huge strategy. And, you know, had an issue with it and what have you. But I mean, it's all part of racing, and you got a teammate. Look at Mike Buisson here's lost that position back.
Going to be 3 wide down.
This is, look at these. Oh, I thought he was going to go around the middle.
Yeah, Jamie Bird nearly threaded the eye of the needle right between the pair of them. Mike Buisson goes off at turn 4, opens the door for Jamie Bird. Bird will slip neatly through, but stay ahead of Buisson for the moment. And now Bird's crosshairs are firmly, squarely marked on the back rear wing of Seth Brown as this battle for P3 continues. Meantime, we're now on lap 8, so after this one, we'll have 2 to go. As we go back to our lead battle, Paul LeMay in second versus Simon Edwards out front. Not by much though, as they're going up the hill again. We're going to start our penultimate lap here at Interlagos for the 10-lap sprint race. And could this be the opportunity that Paul LeMay needs? He's going to be in the slipstream coming through Arribacanderas, the bleachers here at turn number 15. They're going to hug it close to the wall on the left-hand side. And on the pit lane entry, and look at how close LeMay is getting. Where's he going to pitch it? To the outside at turn 1.
Oh, no!
Simon Edwards make contact! I cannot believe it!
They're still going to hold on to first and second, it looks like. It's going to bring the other guys closer, but I don't think that's going to be enough. But, oh, my goodness, let's go back and see exactly what happened there.
Well, I mean, I've got the YouTube feed playing as well, and I've just seen the instant at full speed. Paul LeMay tried to turn in, so let's look. Turns in, Simon thinks he's got the inside line, bang, there's the contact. I think maybe that was a bit of a racing incident, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I don't, you know, yeah, I agree with that.
I don't blame either of them. I don't blame either of them on that one, Jim. I think it was just a case of Simon went for the move, Paul thought he had it done, closed the gap, we're getting right on board with Paul now. Ducks to the outside. Good move there. Slingshots across. Bang. There's the contact through turn 1.
Yeah, I think he thought he had him cleared, you know, and he just didn't. He was trying to cut him off. Obviously, he thought he had him cleared, and certainly Simon didn't turn in, you know, real tight either. So, yeah, it was a racing incident, but you know, in the end, it didn't cost either one of them really anything. Back, I don't want to cut away from him as he crosses the line here.
Yeah, white flag lap here at Interlagos for the 10-lap sprint race. We'll have a fully inverted grid for race 2. Mike Buisson now behind Jamie Bird. Buisson's trying to get on with things at the moment, going through the Ester Senna here at turns 1 and 2, then through into Cover de Sol, the sweeping left-hander that brings us on to the Reta Posta for the final time. Can Buisson use the slipstream here to get a dive up the inside through into Descida de Lago? It depends on how Bird maneuvers the car. They are both line astern. Through turn 4, Buisson might get a nice bit of slipstream up the hill through into Ferradura. Buisson switches to the outside. He might try the crisscross here into turn 6. Bird still holds it on that racing line. Well held, Jamie Bird.
Yeah, I mean, that's Jamie's doing a good job of holding him off there. Mike can't really find a spot yet. He hasn't found an opening. As we
Jamie's just lost it. Jamie's just lost it big time. But in the meantime, we are going to have to go back to our leaders as up through the final couple of corners. It is going to be close, but it is going to be a victory nonetheless, despite dramas on turn 1, lap number 10. It is going to be Simon Edwards that picks up the victory here at Interlagos in race 1 out of 2. as they hug the wall to the inside of turn number 15. Edwards picks up the victory. Paul LeMay finishes in P2. It's going to be Seth Brown that takes third ahead of Mike Bousson. And then, well, dramas for Jamie Bird. He dropped to 9th after that big old tank slapper coming out of turn 9. It's going to be Dom Childs that takes 5th behind Mike Bousson. Michael LeMay, Darren Reynolds, Marcus Neal is going to come across the line in 8th after the slight contretemps between him and Phil Glover earlier on. Jamie Bird will be next across the line.
See what happened to Jamie before we click out of this session real quick. Probably not that camera angle.
Oh, he just went too right. Look,
yeah.
The right.
Oh!
Yeah, whoa! Oh, that's a big hit.
That was a big hit right there. Yeah.
Did you see how much that rear left wheel was wobbling in the wheel arch?
Oh yeah. Look at this.
It was like an apple in an apple bobbing contest in a bowl of water. But that was a pretty good first race. Simon Edwards picks up the victory ahead of Paul LeMay. Seth Brown in P3, Mike Bousson 4th, Dom Charles in 5th, Michael LeMay, Darren Reynolds, Marcus Neal, Jamie Bird. After that big old tank slapper, he managed to bring that car across the line fully damaged with a bent rear back axle on the left-hand side, and Phil Glover brings it across the line to finish P10.
Wow.
I mean,
that was a huge hit.
I know. It was just like it's like James May in Top Gear saying the word brace, you know.
Yeah. Right. Oh man, that was a fun race though. We had 2 nice battles there. You had the battle up front with a little drama. That was nice. Got a little drama out of that there. Lap to go, and we had a nice 3-way battle for a good portion of the race back there. You know, for I guess 3rd, 4th, and 5th place. So that was that was enjoyable. Going to be interesting now though, because the one thing that's fixing to happen is we're going to have Jamie Bird's going to be up front, starting on the front row, and you know he's pretty fast. If he gets a chance to get away, you know, and if Paul or Simon get hung up a little bit, you know, Jamie could theoretically open up enough of a gap that it would be hard for them to get through the field and catch him.
That depends on our good friend, Mr. Positivity, Phil Glover, because he's going to be starting on pole position.
Yes, indeed. Hey, let's bring Phil in. He always likes to come in. Let's bring Phil in and chat with him.
Yeah, let's bring him in. Phil, my good friend. Well, that was a dramatic race 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, bit of a disaster that. But hey, let's see if we can do a bit better. We're first on the grid this time, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes, eh?
Definitely. You know what? We'll leave you to it, Phil, because everyone started to grid up. So good luck for race 2, buddy.
Thank you very much.
All right, Phil. Talk to you after a while.
Hey, Jim. Yeah.
Good to talk. I love Phil, man. He is the best. I love him.
Yep.
So all right, here we go.
Reverse grid is as follows. Phil Glover starts on pole. We're on board with Jamie Bird, who starts on the inside of the outside of row number 1. Marcus Neal and Darren Reynolds start on row 2. Michael LeMay, Dom Charles, Mike Bousson, Seth Brown, Paul LeMay, and Simon Edwards round out your grid. We're just waiting for Dom Charles to ready up. The server will give him a certain amount of time before.
Take your time. Tell him take his time while we take a look at Phil Glover's car here.
Oh, that's a wonderful livery there. I love that.
It's kind of a classic racing livery, isn't it? I mean, it just screams, you know, classic racing livery. I love it. Oh, I didn't realize the lights were on. Holy cow! Whoop, my bad, folks.
Well,
that's all right.
That's a different perspective on the race start there. But Jamie Bird straight away offensive up the inside.
Man, Jamie.
Who is that diving through?
Oh no! Somebody just spun.
No,
that was Reynolds.
Reynolds went for a dive bomb, turned it around on his own, and whoops is all I'm going to say about that one.
That was definitely a whoops.
well, whoops to an extent where we can't exactly say what we'd like to say, but that was Code Brown, clean up on aisle 3, check your underwear after the race, Darren Reynolds. But Mike Buson now getting up the inside of Phil Glover through into the run-up to turn number 6 at Ferradura. There's Simon Edwards, man who is so close to getting double digits in terms of Radical Race Series Championships. He's got Michael LeMay, I think, just behind him. Paul LeMay's not too far behind either. There is Marcus Neal.
He's getting held up there, which is exactly what we talked about by Marcus Neal a little bit. You know, that's any little gap that Jamie can get, I'm sure he's going to appreciate. Let's go back real quick and watch Dom dump it in front of the field there. I don't use, you know, like to pick on someone, but that was that was right in front of all the field there. That was well, he did dive by. Look at Simon coming in right behind him though. Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now that we've had another dramas, I think.
Have we?
Brown popped it, and he's in pit lane.
What happened there? See if I can find what happened real quick. Okay, let's.
Okay, this is on board with Seth Brown up through turn. Oh, this is not going to end well. I don't think. Let's just have a look. He's going to turn it in.
Behind Paul.
Come up. Yeah, he's going to be right by Paul LeMay as they go down the hill through into Chulsau. Where does this happen? Is this going to be... I think it's going to be on the start-finish straight, possibly.
Yeah, maybe.
Have a look.
Weird why it showed me that.
Yeah. They're going through Akibakandaras at the bleachers at turn number 15, and this is going to be the best part over. Now, just a bit late, so maybe there was a penalty that he was issued by the server.
He must have had a false start. Is all I can think that would have been. Yeah, if he jumped to start, maybe, possibly, because why else would you have to go through the I would think that's about the only thing that would have caused that. Back up here up front real quick. I tell you what, we're gonna did not have the cameras on properly back here. This is the worst camera angle. Here we go. Oh, it can. Yeah, we don't have a good camera angle, unfortunately. Quiz him after.
But that was a really, really good start. Jamie Bird got through the first phase, accelerated past Phil Glover. Phil now currently holding on to P2, ahead of his master.
His master.
It's always the Star Wars Jedi rolling gag we have about.
Well, what's funny is, Simon is definitely the Jedi master for Phil Glover for sure. I tell you what, I've seen Phil improve so much though under working with Simon. Over the course of several seasons of doing this, I've done a lot of radical races, and I've watched him improve. So I love Phil. He's one of my favorite people in all of sim racing. He's character. He races on a motion rig in VR, right? So I keep telling him I want him to set up a webcam just so that we can watch him in that motion rig with the VR driving. He's a character. It's got to be good stuff. Yeah,
well, in the meantime, he's being chased down by his Jedi Master, Mr. Simon Edwards. Had one holding on at the moment for second place. Simon has got the fastest lap of the race so far. It's 28.665. Mike Buson and Paul LeMay are closing on in. Marcus Neal has just had a drama just past the start-finish line on the circuit, as Simon Edwards will now go down the Retta Posta. Up the inside, neatly goes. Bill, come on, my friend. Keep on getting told. Keep your elbows out. Keep your elbows out. Just give it a little bit more resistance to those people, especially when he's got Mike Buson right behind him. Well, so now Phil's got that bit of he's a bit of a rock in a hard place situation.
He is.
It's about attacking or defending.
And this is where Phil typically gets in a little bit of trouble, because he will get in this situation and he tries to keep up with Simon, and he really starts fighting hard with maybe a guy that's a little faster than him behind him, and he'll end up making an unforced error here, and that's his struggle right now. Is he really works hard to try to keep up with these guys, and man, it's so hard. These guys are so fast.
Yeah, and speaking of fast, Simon Edwards is about to go for the lead here on lap number 5. He dives to the inside, switches to the outside at turn 1. He's trying to force Jamie Bird into territory in centre Essex as they go through the sweeper here at turn 3, Curve Sol, and then back onto the flat out full throttle back straight away. Paul LeMay goes in on Mike Bousson, who's right with Phil Glover at the moment. He's wheel to wheel. He's round the outside of him at turn number 4. And is Phil Glover going to keep it? Oh, Mike Bousson loses it!
Yeah, they bumped.
He made contact.
Yeah, they bumped there. That was not good.
Oh, Mike's got a very damaged front splitter on that car. Meantime, now where has that put Phil? It's put Phil down into P5. Yep. So that's released Paul LeMay as a direct correlation.
Yes.
Michael, Paul's brother, now is in 4th. Phil Glover didn't actually got away with that quite significantly better than Mike Bousson did.
Yeah.
His angled barrier.
I'm going to go back and look at it, but I'm going to hold off here because I got a feeling Simon's fixing to make something happen here.
Yeah, they're going to go through up through Zhengzhou, through into turn number 13, now into Savides' boxes, and they're going to be at full throttle all the way through over turn number 15 at Akebiakandra's, the bleachers, hug it close to the wall, and here goes Simon Edwards to the outside on the start finish straight. Will he get the move completed? Jamie Bird is going to fight him, and Bird loses it, clatters into Edwards. Edwards goes grass cutting. Could this be the moment that Paul LeMay takes the lead? Yes! Oh.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. It was just a case of Simon Edwards, I said, was putting that pressure on Jamie Bird, and Jamie just made that slight unforced error and clattered into Simon.
Well,
Simon.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, I thought Simon sent it around the outside, and Jamie kind of, I don't want to say panicked, but he turned it a little too hard and caused himself to spin, I believe is what happened there.
Yeah, let's have a look from the onboard here at 6th gear, full throttle. Then it's going to be down on the brakes, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. Loses the back end, and that's, yeah, like you said, he turned it in too hard, and if you these nose pointy SR10s, if you turn it in that bit too hard, we're going to have a look at the overhead shot. This will give us a real good picture. So he's going to turn it in, turns in, and it's the second part of turning in. That's where he's made the mistake, because he's turned it a bit too hard. He's dropped down to 2nd, and then the back end just stepped out. He's clobbered the left-hand side of Simon, and Paul was like saying, right, I'll take that all the way down. I'll take that all the way to the local federal bank every single day of the week, and just got through neat as you like. And now Simon Edwards will have a damaged left-hand side, so that will compromise the aero, possibly compromise the straight line speed. When you look at the last laps, Paul LeMay 1 minute 30.154. Simon Edwards' last lap, obviously including the collision, for 132.984. Mike Bousson and Marcus Neal. Oh, what's happened to them? Bousson's in the pits.
Oh my goodness.
Reynolds is off as well. Dearie me.
Yeah, it looks like.
So what's Mike done here? Turned it in. And, oh, it's stepping out now. He's lost the back end.
Yeah,
Locks
but
up on the brakes.
Why did he end up in the pits? Not from that. Why would he tow there?
Not sure.
Wow. I mean, he didn't hit anything.
No, I think it was probably the front end with that damage on that splitter was so unstable.
Maybe.
I think it just got to the point where he found it was a bit too undrivable for his liking.
Maybe so, yeah. Wow, okay.
Mike's decided to exit the session and call time on lap 6. Jamie Bird has had further dramas though.
Oh, he has.
Michael LeMay, dear, what's happened to poor old Jamie Bird? Oh, the hits, they keep on coming here.
I'm telling you. That's Interlagos, though. I mean, you know, you can have it can be the best or it can be the worst sometimes. Yeah, look at that. I bet he's probably got some damage too, though, you know, because I mean, clearly Simon went right over the top of his back end, so that had to mess him up a little bit, you know.
There's been an apology from Mike Bousson because he had a little bit of contact with Phil Glover a little bit earlier on, so he's just apologised for that.
Oh.
But yeah, now on lap 8, Darren Reynolds has now ended up in pit lane, and he didn't have a great start to the race either. He was spinning going through the second part of the centre S's, but at this moment in time, well, Paul LeMay looking rather strong. Obviously, we've all known about his arm injuries, obviously due to what he's sustained in terms of health-wise, but he's definitely keeping it nice and calm. Simon Edwards is starting to catch him a little bit. The gap's now down to just under 1.3 seconds. Simon Edwards' last lap was 1:29.6. Paul's was a 1:29.74. So just shy of a tenth and a half between the two. But at this point, in a 16-lap race, as we are now going to go halfway through this race, 8 laps down, 8 to go into Interlagos. The gap now is still about 1.3 seconds. Paul LeMay that time was about 8/100ths of a second quicker than Simon, who is working with a damaged vehicle. Michael LeMay running on a 1:25.29.53, so was quicker than the two in front of him. Good work by Dom Charles, running 4th at the moment in the number 10 car. He's done a 1:29.9. Phil Glover running a 1:29.7. Jamie Bird's just done a 1:29.3. Seth Brown 1:29.4.
Seth Brown's got the fastest. That was the fastest lap last time around out of everybody. He's you know, apparently he's back there working for him. He's just, fortunately, he's so far out of the mix, you know. My question is, I keep wondering if Simon's going to be able to catch Paul, but it doesn't look like it. If you look at the gap, it's growing.
I mean, especially in that opening sector. I mean, you can see the damage on the left side, where the paint job is down to the body in white primer. You can see round by the air scoop just in front of the engine, where it brings all that cooling into the car. That's where the impact happened when Jamie Bird had that moment. You know, through that second phase of negotiating his way through turn 1 at the centre S's. So there has been a bit of a scrape. There you go. You can see the damage on there. So that's going to affect the aero on the top surface. Panels are misaligned. The airflow is going to be not at 100% for the cooling, but still going to get a lot of cooling air into that engine, despite the fact of it being over 700 meters above sea level. So Simon's going to do his best, but I think at the end of the day, when you're running 0.2 of a second slower than the man in front, there's still going to be a good haul of a total of 60 points for Simon Edwards, and Paul LeMay will have 62 to his credit. It's 22 for second, and then it's 40 for a win in the feature race. So you know, only 2 points in it between these two. Obviously, if we do go to Road Atlanta for week 13 of the championship, then it will be more than likely down to these two drivers to scrap it out for the season 2 spoils of glory, as the champion is a little bit wayward there from Simon Edwards, but with a damaged left side on that radical, that can really hurt the aero imbalance, especially the circuit where you're pushing high speed and also high downforce, let's not forget, Jim.
Yeah, this is it's kind of the perfect track to be bad for the damage he's got. It's high speed, some high speed corners, so that's going to really affect him. And I mean, not taking anything away from Paul, but at this point, it's clearly affected Simon's lap times. You know, relatively significantly, I would say, but because he's running a second plus slower than his best lap of the race. So, and he should be, in theory, they should be getting equal or even maybe a little faster because of lightening up the fuel loads. For example, Seth Brown just cranked out a 129.2, as did Paul LeMay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that he's not going to be able to catch him. I don't, barring some mistake from Paul, enough damage to slow him up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the one of the things that Paul's doing is just making sure that he does the absolute minimum requirement, because
yes,
overexerting himself, especially with that arm trauma related to the neck injury that he suffered, it is more the case of you've got to be calmly going about the business at hand. Yes, you might think that you're going to extend that gap, but by how much? And that's quite crucial when you look at it from that perspective, that gap is now stretched to 1.8 seconds.
Yeah.
As we now have 5 laps to go, and that is Darren
Reynolds. Yeah, that was Reynolds.
Oh, he's lost it. He's lost it straight away, and he's gone to rejoin.
And I got him again.
He's got, yeah, I think he just missed his braking point by a country mile there, as in to realise, there's a barrier coming up rather quickly.
So this is a Marcus Neal incident that happened just before the Darren Reynolds incident. I'll tell you what, that is about as classic of a spin as you'll see at Interlagos right there. That one gets so many people. Yeah, that turn, getting that turn right is it's the key to a fast lap here. It really is.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, if you don't get it right through the center S's, then your lap goes a bit wayward, as we see here's Paul turning left here. He's going to go a little bit onto the AstroTurf, but then up the hill. He's looking rather comfortable here. That's complete lap 12 out of 16. So 4 to go, as number 27 from Two Brothers Racing calmly gets on with the business at hand. The gap between him and Simon Edwards was at its highest 1.9 seconds. It's now down to 1.5, 1:29.8 for Paul LeMay, a 1:29.594 for Simon Edwards, and then Michael LeMay goes a 1/10.5 quicker than the man in second, a 1:29.449.
Yep. Simon's sitting there in a LeMay sandwich right now.
You took the words right out of my mouth there, Mr. Cunningham. Well played, sir. Well played. Yeah, I mean, it's we haven't, in recent times, we haven't seen Michael on the grid here for Radical Race Series UK and Ireland, but it's good to see him and brother Paul sandwiching, as he so eloquently put it, Mr. Edwards' piggy in the middle. But we are counting down the laps here at Interlagos. Personal best, middle sector there from the man leading the way, Paul LeMay in the number 27. Then it's the number 52 of Simon Edwards. Michael LeMay in third in the 777. Dom Charles, Phil Glover, who despite that drama with Mike Bousson earlier on in the race, holding on to P5 and is 3.2 seconds ahead of Seth Brown. Marcus Neal in 7th. Jamie Byrne, I did notice, ended up in pit lane for about 6.5 seconds. But 3 to go, and the LeMay train is comfortably cruising at the front end of the field here in Sao Paulo.
So I was thinking about the LeMay sandwich, right? And maybe if we've got some vegetarians or vegan watching, instead of could be Oreo cookie sandwich, a LeMay cookie sandwich, where it's Simon Edwards is the cream filling in the middle, and I don't know if many people know this, but Oreo cookies are vegan. Would have ever thought, but they are. Don't ask me how I know that. I'm not vegan, but I do know.
Well, there's been an apology. Jamie Bird has retired on lap 10, and he's apologised to Simon for contact when I lost it at the Centre S. That's one of the things here at the Radical Race Series. If someone makes a mistake, they will fess up to it and go, look, sorry, apologies, I didn't mean for that to happen. You know, when you're battling for a lead in a race, these things can happen. It's part and parcel of motorsports.
That's a racing incident if there ever was one right there. You know, I mean, Simon put a hard move on him on the outside, and Jamie tried to turn it down to make sure he didn't hit him, and he spun himself and ultimately, you know, caused a little mishap there. But yeah, that was about as racing incident as you can get. I say no need to apologize for that. I mean, it's great that he does, and that's the kind of people this league is. If you're watching this and you have any interest in radical racing whatsoever, radical community on surrounding iRacing, especially with these guys, and they jump around from different place to place and race these cars. Great group of guys, fantastic.
Well, we are on the penultimate lap of today's proceedings here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache at Interlagos in the suburbs of Sao Paulo, Brazil in South America. And Paul LeMay is calmly getting on with the business at hand. He's keeping an even gap of around 1.6 seconds between himself and the man who picked up the race win in race 1 this evening, Simon Edwards. This is going to be a one-win apiece. And here we go with the battle for what is going to be 5th in the dying stages. Seth Brown has managed to catch Dom Charles in the number 10, and they are 4/10 of a second apart as we shortly will be going on to the white flag lap up through the hill, through some visitors boxes, through Arquibacandas, the bleachers, as close to the wall on the left-hand side goes Paul LeMay. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go, and LeMay has a comfortable lead over Edwards of just the best part of 1.7 seconds. Michael LeMay, on his penultimate lap in this race, sets a personal best as a 1:29.055. Dom Charles and Seth Brown are playing musical chairs over P5, but Seth Brown has gotten through, and Dom Charles has been dropped significantly. Might have made a bit of a faux pas in the latter stages, but that has given the opportunity. Oh, this is where it happened. Seth Brown on pure pace alone hugs it deep to the inside. It's a bit like he's trying to go through a Daytona International Speedway at turn 4 at high speed. And well, what happened here with Dom Charles? He's going to keep in the slipstream. I think might lock. Oh, he dives to the inside. Goes deep,
way too much,
up, and that is P5 for Seth Brown.
Solved that, didn't it? Yeah, he was trying to hold on to it. It just wasn't there for him.
Yeah, it was pretty much. If Inspector Clouseau was seeing that, it would be an open and shut case. But up the hill we go for the final time. 1 win to Simon Edwards. Paul LeMay, runner-up in race 1, will be victorious here in the suburbs of Sao Paulo at Interlagos in the 16-lap feature. Edwards takes P2. The Oreo cookie is complete, courtesy of Michael LeMay in P3. Phil Glover started on top 10 reverse grid pole, and that's P4 for Mr. Positivity. Seth Brown comes across the line to finish in P5. So good start from 8th to finish P5 for that one for Seth Brown. Dom Charles will take 6th, Darren Reynolds 8th, Jamie Bird 9th, and Mike Bousson 10th. So they finished on laps 11, 10 and 6 respectively, meaning that Marcus Neal is going to be the last driver out on track that we will have to come across the line in that wonderful retro livery that he's got on that Radical. And you can just see he's going to come up the hill for the final time. James B17, who wins the championship? Well, Road Atlanta didn't quite go ahead as scheduled, so watch this space. But Marcus Neal comes out of the final corner and will take the checkered flag and finish a well-deserved 7th, despite having started, funnily enough, P3 in that race. Well, what can you say about that one, Mr. Cunningham?
Oh, I mean, it was good. It
Paul
was good
May
racing, you know.
Yeah, it was a great racing. We've had a few incidents here at Interlagos, but as they say, rubbing's racing, but racing is a non-contact sport apparently. But Paul May
Yeah.
takes the second win of the night. Takes this win here tonight for the feature ahead of Simon Edwards by 1.6 seconds. 2.7 seconds covered the top three, with Michael LeMay running out the rostrum here in the feature ahead of Phil Glover, Seth Brown, Dom Charles, Marcus Neal, Darren Reynolds, Jamie Bird, and Mike Boos on the latter three, not making it to the checkered, actually retiring before the race ended. But you know what? Let's see if we can bring one of the Oreo cookie sandwich into the booth, shall we? Let's bring in Paul LeMay. Paul, good evening.
Good evening, Alex. How are you?
Good, good. So that was a bit of an entertaining race. I mean, you got a little bit of a hip check at the start when everything was kicking off in front of you, but then, yeah, a battle between Jamie and Simon meant that Jamie went a bit too hard into T1, and there you were to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Simon was just trying to get to the front and build a gap, and you know, sort of take off. So I was flat out behind him, and yeah, I mean, you take a risk, don't you? And sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. So it's a difficult one.
But still, nevertheless, that gives you a pretty big score to leave Interlagos with. Of course, there's still that tie up in the air about whether we are going to go to a week 13, whether we are going to get Road Atlanta, because that didn't quite happen on week 6. So,
Yeah, Simon's basically said that that's it. The championship's won. So I guess. I mean, I've been in Discord trying to see what everybody wanted to do, and we had no real sort of answers. So Simon and I did speak before the session, but yeah, I think that's it. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
yeah.
So if we call it the championship here, then do you know what the finishing order would be if it's called today, after today?
Well, Simon said that I've still got the lead, and as I say, just spoke to him now, and he's kind of conceded the championship, I presume, because we've had no idea that we were going to do the race that was missed at Road Atlanta. So at the moment, as it stands, I've got the most points.
Oh,
well, then I guess if that's the case, congratulations is in order.
Thanks, buddy. I'm just going into the app now just to have a look at the driver's standings.
Yeah, because
we were trying.
We were trying to chase them.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah, I'm on 452. Simon's on 447.
So 5 points.
Yep.
5 points.
That would be before today's results, right?
No, that's today's results.
Okay, it's including today. Okay.
I was leading the championship by 2 points. And with what's happened today, that puts me that little bit ahead. So not a lot in it.
So that Jamie Bird incident, not blaming Jamie at all, because if there was ever a racing incident, that was one, because Simon drove it in there really hard on the outside, and all Jamie was doing was just to make sure he didn't hit him and turn down a little too hard and lost it there at the start of those Senna S's. But that ended up being a major factor in the championship. Wow.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, Simon and I came together in race 1.
Yes.
I think I haven't looked at the replay yet, but I think I was ahead, and then Simon just eased off the brakes a little bit, and yeah, I turned in a bit, so I think it was more me coming across. But I'll look at the replay.
Paul, we kind of thought that was a bit of a racing incident, to be honest with you, because you
right,
were
I've
ahead.
not seen it.
We did see it from multiple views, so I think we saw it on board from you, Helicam, and also trackside.
All right. Okay.
I think it was a case of that Simon went for the gap, and I think it was just a case of that. Yeah, he went on, lifted off the brakes, so that would have meant that the car would have still kept going forward anyway.
Yeah.
But I think when you turned in, it was a case of, I think I've got this done, and we just felt it was a racing accident. It was a case of 2 guys battling, and we knew that you Simon and Luke Crowther were all in with a chance of winning the championship. So, we just think it was completely a racing accident.
Okay.
At the end of the day, even if you'd finished third, you probably would have been on exactly the same points as Simon anyway, and that would have gone to countback.
Yeah, he's won more feature races than me. He's won. I've won 2 feature races and I think 5 sprint races. He's won more feature races, so I don't know how that would have panned out anyway.
So yeah, if you go back, when you go back and look at it, I think looking at it from and assuming your mindset there, to me, it looked like that you thought you were clear. And we're going to, chop his nose off, obviously, to make sure you held the spot and he didn't run you down, And it looks like either, like I said, he might have let off the brakes a little bit, in which case you weren't clear. But the reality is it didn't really cost anybody anything except you.
Yeah.
Because you were in second, you were trying to take the lead, and you ended up in second anyway. So,
neither of us lost out.
No, it didn't. Nobody caught you, so it that really played no effect on it in the end. I hate that incident with Jamie could have changed something, but again, when you see it, I don't see how you call it anything but a racing incident.
Well, we'll have a look and see what happened. I'm intrigued to see what happened going into turn 1 because Simon came from nowhere, I think. And
he had
I don't know what happened.
Well, he had a nice. You talking about on the start of the second race?
Yeah, the start. Yeah.
Well, he shot down. You had who was it? Dom Charles, I think it was, tried to make a little dive bomb in there, and Simon even went further inside, and he really sent it in there. And but he was able to control it, whereas Dom got to the middle of the track and kind of lost it. He really sent it up the inside there. I mean, hard.
Yeah, I got a little nudge from Seth, I think, because I don't know if that was caused by what
I think it was because Simon dived on the inside.
Yeah.
Seth was piggy in the middle, and it was sort of like that. That when you're trying to do trying to do that pull shot, aren't you? Trying to cannon it off another ball. And it was kind of one of those domino effect kind of things.
Oh, it's a bit of a worry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But the thing is that if it is called now, Paul LeMay.
Yep.
Many congratulations. You
Thank you,
have
guys.
a Radical Race Series title to your tally.
Yes.
Just 5 points. Can you believe it?
No, it's taken a long time. It's taken a long time, but finally got there. Yeah, that's great.
Well, congratulations. You've been close, many times, obviously, and so congratulations if that is where it settles out, and if not, next week's sure going to be fun.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
All right, buddy. Good to talk to you
Paul.
too, by the way.
Before I forget, Paul, usual shout-outs before you go, buddy.
Yeah, everybody in the league, really. Great bunch of lads, and of course yourself. And Jim, and of course our noble leader, JP.
Yeah,
shout out to you guys.
Right.
Thank you very much, Paul LeMay, our Season 2 2025 Radical Race Series champion. Congratulations, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, then. Bye-bye.
Right, a big thank you there to Paul LeMay. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, I know, right?
I know, but we got to bring in a man who fought right up until the death. Let's bring in the man himself, Mr. Simon Edwards. Simon, good evening. Oh, what an evening it's been, filled with dramas, hasn't it?
It has, but it is a good fitting end at the best track on iRacing, which I always think this is a great track to have a finale on. It always ends up with drama.
I could not agree more. It's drama, and it's a test of skill. I mean, to get around this place fast, you got to have some skill.
Yeah, I was doing qualifying laps at the end there, but with the amount of damage I had on the car, I just couldn't do it. I was going, go on, Paul, make a mistake.
So I think, Simon, the obvious question is, and in the end, again, not placing blame anywhere or anything, but obviously the incident with you and Jamie, in the end, could have decided the championship or been a big factor in it. How did you see what happened there? What was I know you probably haven't looked at a replay yet, but from what you saw, what do you think? What's your opinion about what happened there?
Yeah, I did go back and have a quick look before I joined this interview. I was taking a risk going around the outside because he was going to defend the corner. He wanted to win the race.
Sure.
So he wasn't just going to let me pass. So it was either there or the next bend, really. So, and I've got experience of this track, and I know the line to go around the outside. So I got my line good, but Jamie just lost control. I mean, he's lost control. He's tried to stay tight, and he's lost control. Simple as that. If
Right.
I'd seen he'd lost control, because I'm in VR, I'm already sort of looking right almost into the next.
Sure,
bend.
yeah.
So I didn't see that he'd spun. If I'd seen that he'd spun, I'd have just jumped into the grass, and I'd have just got away with a slowdown and no damage. So that part of it was unlucky.
Yeah, and that's the way we saw it. Basically, I think when you sent it up the outside there, I don't want to use the word panic. That's not the right word, but I think at that point, Jamie reacted and tried to make sure that he didn't hit you and turned it down extra tight. You know what I mean? And I think he lost the rear when that happened. That was the way I saw it anyway.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me as well. There was no intent there, or
oh no,
he hadn't
obviously
gone in
not,
too
no.
fast or anything like that. Yeah.
No, he was actually doing a really good job of defending, which is what made you take that chance and send it up the outside there. He was doing a good job. So, but look, you had a great season. You've won a bunch of these things. So, if indeed this is the final one, I don't know if that decision has been officially made yet or not, but if it is, and you ended up finishing second, congratulations. And I'm sure with the way the points were, that was a very fun battle for you guys all season.
Yeah, if we can get a few more people in, it'd be nice to continue the championship. So yeah, and I'll always continue to come into it, even if if I'm not just practicing for this.
Right. Well, you got anybody you want to shout out to while we have you in here?
Let's give a shout out to Paul and Jamie, so Jamie doesn't feel bad and Paul does feel good having a championship.
Well, Paul was excited for sure. He's you've been a thorn in his side for a while trying to win some of these championships. So that was fun to be here. I'm sure not from your perspective, but it was interesting to watch all that go down today. So again, congratulations, and I can't wait till next season to see you guys go at it again.
Yeah, hopefully, yes. See you then.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Simon. Appreciate it.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to jump the interview there. I just
don't worry about that, Jim. Don't worry about that.
I wanted to get that question in because I wanted to see what he had to say about the bird incident, which I'm thrilled that he, a lot of guys in that moment could have easily thrown blame or something, but he didn't. That's that just shows you the kind of guys that Simon is.
Yeah, well, we've got 2 more interviews to go. First of all, I want to bring in this man, Seth Brown, who's had a fantastic evening. Cap things off. Seth, good evening. A 3rd and a 5th place finish. First of all, let's talk about this race 1 battle. You, Buson, and Bird. It was like the triple B assault battling for the P3 in race 1, which kept myself and Jim really, really captivated. It was an absolute corker, wasn't it?
I mean, it kept me captivated as well.
That's a great way to put it there.
Mike got in my toe, and I kind of knew I had the pace on him. But so if he got past, I was going to just go past him again, not easily. And then I thought we're just going to end up in a swapping battle. And actually, Jamie coming into the mix was kind of my salvation. So although it could have gone the other way, right? I could have ended up 5th. So
yeah.
It was. I had to concentrate, but it was okay. We did have a bit of contact And then the second race, I just asked the start up and then rear-ended Dom, and I apologised. Lost pace, went into the pits. Thought, yeah, I can make a comeback, and just had fun doing that. Really.
You were putting down some fast. You were putting down some fast laps towards the end of that race.
It's interesting, yeah. Like even from the start, when I went to the pits and did the damage, I was doing my qualifying pace on 30 odd liters of fuel. So what that was about, I don't know. More grip, more rubber on the track. I don't know.
Yeah, you were fast. I mean, we watched the last, 6 or 7 laps of the race. You were consistently putting in, the fastest lap every time around. You know, you were just so far back. There wasn't a whole lot you could do with it. You did manage to pass. I guess it was Dom that you ended up passing right there before the.
It was Dom, and I was trying to get to Phil, but I've got to give Phil props. Like he was doing good, and I was just laser focused on those two, and I was come on boys, fight and slow yourselves down, but they didn't really that much. So yeah, ran out of laps. But yeah, respect to Phil.
No, go for it, Jim. You're in flow, my friend. Go for it.
Well, I had said that actually off the air, but you didn't know that. No, I just, I want to congratulate you. You know, you're always fun to watch. You know, I do a lot of these radicals in different series, and you guys all race against each other. I can only imagine what it must be like to race against guys that you race this much. You know, I mean, because y'all are constantly, several days a week racing against each other. And, it's always fun to watch because y'all know each other so well. And, you're always entertaining. And I'm sure you've heard me say this before, your speed has increased since I've been watching. And as you start to work the unforced errors out of your game, you're rapidly climbing into that next echelon of these drivers, and you're getting up there and regularly competing with these fast guys. And that's great to see, man. I've really enjoyed watching your progress.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it too, but it feels like I'm in base camp and
you are.
The top cover. Thanks. Reality check. It feels like the guys on the summit and I've got a tiny little pickaxe, and I'm like clawing away.
I mean, you racing week in and week out against the best radical racers in the world. These are the best radical racers in the world. And
this is the only race I do. Like, I don't do any other iRacing, so this is like it for me. Yeah, it's fun. What more fun could you have?
It's fantastic, and you literally are racing. I mean, you just look at the pack of the regular guys that move around and do these series. They're the best in the world, and you are rapidly closing that gap on these guys and getting into the mix regularly. That's fantastic, man. Congratulations. I don't know where you ended up in points this season. I just popped in for this last race. It's kind of last minute, and there was still some unsettled whether there was going to be another race or not. But do you have any idea where you might be points wise?
I don't. I honestly don't pay any attention to it, really. I think if I was closer to the front,
right,
then I probably would. And I think personally, we didn't call the extra race officially early enough for it to count. So if Paul's won the championship, then congrats to him. He really, really deserves it. It's like Simon's had enough championships. Come on.
It's time for someone else to have a bite of the cake.
Yeah.
I mean, he deserves it, and Simon was really, really cool about it, I mean, the whole thing. And like you said, he's got a shelf full of trophies. So,
yep.
All right, man.
Absolutely.
You got anybody you want to shout out to while we got you in here?
I think it's the end of the season, is it? Let's shout out to everybody who does or participates in this league. You've called it right. They're a great bunch of people, including you two. It's just like honestly, the highlight of my week is doing this. So that and the bottle of wine afterwards.
That's right.
And,
there you go. Now you're talking. There you're talking.
now you can enjoy your evening, Seth.
Yeah, not before.
Yeah, no, that's bad.
Exactly. Always after. Don't drink and drive when you're on a simulator, folks. It doesn't go well. I don't speak from experience, but I know people who have. So on that note, Seth Brown, well done tonight. Thanks for jumping in to chat to us, buddy, and hopefully we'll see you for next season.
It's a pleasure. I intend to be there.
Brilliant. Great to hear from Seth. And we've got one final interview. It's none other than the myth, the man, the legend, Mr. Positivity, Phil Glover. Phil, what a final race of the season. P4, buddy. Well done.
Yeah, it turned out a bit better, didn't it, than the first one, which I'd rather forget about completely.
Well, and, we won't discuss. We won't discuss about that one. But
apart from me saying apologies to Marcus, because although he had tapped me a few times, I certainly wasn't doing a Max Verstappen on him. I just missed
brilliant!
My braking.
You've done it too many times when we're now naming the move after him.
There's probably a meme.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it's
second race was pretty okay. Although somebody did hit me. I think it was Mike Buson.
Buson. Yeah. Buson tried to give you what 4 through at turn 4 at the Interlagos. On the outside, he clobbered you and then ended up exiting stage right and then smacking the front of his car in the wall. Poor old Mike. But
it caused me some damage, and so the car when it first happened was really skitty and a bit uncontrollable. So I don't know whether it was Dominic or somebody through.
I think it was Dom. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after a lap or two, I realised it's not quite as bad, so I just kind of worked my way back up onto him again. So and I had to do I had to do a dummy move onto him into the first corner to get past because I was worried about Seth.
So you channeled your inner Nigel Mansell on that one then, Phil?
Yeah, it's a pity James wasn't here because he would have liked that one.
He would have liked that one, yes.
Yeah, he definitely would have done. But you know what? I mean, to see the fact that it went down to the wire as well between Simon and Paul, and Paul, if it gets called at this point, which I think it pretty much will be, is this season's champion for season 2 by just 5 points. But we've seen your progression. You've done a lot of learning under the tutelage of your Jedi Master, Mr. Simon Edwards, you being his Padawan. But I think to cap off season 2 with a 4th place finish, even though Jamie himself got himself into a little bit of trouble, he collected Simon on a racing incident early in the feature. But still, to finish P4, you must feel a really good sense of achievement after that.
Yeah, I was quite happy because I was sticking with Jamie, and Jamie's quick. Until the point Simon started to get on me, and I know because Simon and I had been practicing, I knew he could safely take me into that down the straight and then on the left-hand corner. So I knew I didn't, I wasn't going to hold him up. But I knew I could let him competitively pass me, and I wouldn't lose any speed. And if I hooked onto the back of him, he would drag me along for a while. So it all panned out quite nicely in that respect.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I have to say, I'm really, really thrilled that Paul's, if it is declared, and I think both guys are happy for it to be declared, I think. Paul absolutely deserves it. He's driven fantastically this season.
Brilliant. Well, Phil, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, buddy. Before we let you go this evening, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to in particular?
Well, there's a whole raft of people, isn't there? First of all, you guys, and the boss, who never seems to turn up nowadays.
I think burning after that one, Phil.
He was a big supporter, but now of me. So now all the pressure's on Jim to keep cheering.
Well, you know, I love you. So as long as I'm here, I got your back for sure.
Yeah.
Me too as well, Phil. So you got two guys who've got your back no matter what.
Yeah, fantastic. And then I'd like to a big call out to the admin guys that do all the work behind the scenes, keep this thing going. It's good to see some new people on the grid as well. Let's hope we can get more up towards the 20 odd that we used to have in the olden days. So time will tell, won't it?
Indeed.
Indeed it will, my good friend. But Phil, thank you so much for your time as always. Mr. Positivity, have a good one. We'll see you for season 3, 2025.
Looking forward to it. You take care, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Phil.
Cheers, bye.
Well, that concludes our post-race wrap-up of season 2, 2025 for the Radical Race Series UK and Ireland here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. Jim, before we close things off here on the JP Broadcasting Network, what a double race we had here at Interlagos. We had thrills, we had spills, and you know, when it gets declared, we will have a very deserving champion.
Absolutely.
All of May.
I'm not going to lie to you. The one thing that I'm going to take away from this race that is a bit of a negative, and I'm going to put it out there, is I wish that we would have known where that points championship sat the entire race, because it would have made you and I broadcast that race differently. We would have known the impact of that Jamie Simon incident, and you know what I mean. That's unfortunate because I hate to have to find out after the race that that was where the situation was, and hopefully in the future, we can get access to that information a little earlier, because that would have been some fantastic drama. But the racing tonight was amazing. Great battles, drama, everything you could ask for, and it was Interlagos on top of that.
Yeah, and just really, I have to say on behalf of JPB, big thank you to Graham Brown behind the scenes for giving as much information as he could. He was trying to pester to get the information we needed, but shout out to Graham. A big thank you to everyone that's competed in Season 2. You've been listening over the course of Season 2 for the Radical Race Series UK and Ireland, from myself, Alex Goldschmidt, James Parfitt, and of course, the man beside me tonight, Mr. Jim Cunningham. A lot of action still to come on the JP Broadcasting Network. As June 6th at 8 p.m. British summertime, it's TSRC, the Sim Racing Collective, will head to the Hockenheim Ring in Germany for round 4 of the GTE Masters.
I'll actually be there for that one.
Yeah, which Jim will be there for. We'll have the Virtual World Sports Car Championship 2025, the 4.8 hours of Le Mans this coming Saturday. Novice Racing League returns, and funnily enough, it's going to be heading to this very circuit, Interlagos, for round 7 on June 8th. We then have the Only Hands GR86 in association with Tanzo Racing Group round 2 at Homestead, Miami. And then, as always, on a Sunday, we'd love to close things out. It's going to be with IGP Fun, Super Formula Lights, Season 2, round 12 in the Ardennes Forest at the iconic Spa-Francorchamps. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing to the JP Broadcasting Network. Don't forget, we are on socials as well whilst you're at it. And as always, race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, you better go flat out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.
Cool.